It's time for Takes on Takes, the episode where we offer our take on your take today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins.
Howdy.
How are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started.
Happy Friday. Little context. We're giggling here at the start because we joked about what the cold open was going to be, and then you did the exact same thing that I joked about you doing as the actual cold open. Well, you give the take, we give our take on your take. Takes on takes.
Well, yeah. What did you expect me to say? That's what I tried to say the first time.
I
think you're in your head right now.
I think I am a little bit too.
I'm just glad that you're happy. You know, that's it.
We're on a Friday.
Right.
We made it. End of the week. Football this weekend. There was games last night. Games tonight. Games on Saturday. And then
there's games on Sunday too. And how would you like to be one of those teams?
No, I would not be very happy about it.
That's crappy, right?
Like, another team got a 4-day jump on their preparations for the regular season.
Right. Especially if guys get injured. Okay, now they got extra days to get healed. Like, what are we doing here? The last preseason week should be everybody playing on the same day.
Friday or Saturday. You should play all the games on Friday and Saturday.
Right. Nonsense.
Is that a take? Is it a formal take?
Yeah, there it is. Formal take to get us going. Yes, that's correct. Joe, you're great take. All right, let's get into it. We got a bunch of good ones. First one from Sam Teets. Very timely take here from Sam Teets. Off the back of the Dotson trade, the wide receiver trio that will produce the most yardage in the NFL this season is Houston. Philly, Miami, Chicago, and the Rams will be the other teams in the top 5.
Philly, Miami, Chicago, and the Rams.
Yeah, with Houston number 1 in terms of wide receiver production from their top 3.
It's a pretty good bet. I think the team you're most worried about running the ball out of that group is Houston, right?
The team that I'm most nervous about in this is Chicago.
Running the ball?
No, in terms of being in the top 5.
Yeah, but I look at how do you end up in the top 5 in wide receiver production is probably tied to how balanced you are on offense, I think, is what I'm trying to get at. That makes sense?
I mean, yeah, but don't you think it's more about wide receiver talent and ability to throw the football?
Well, they all have talented guys.
Yeah, so that's why they're in this conversation,
right?
But I don't think they're in this top 5. And I think
whose wide receiver trio would you put in front of Chicago?
The Bengals. And the reason I put the Bengals is because I know that their third guy is probably not going to be that big of a deal, but Higgins and Chase are going to eat in a big way.
Okay, so who's the third guy?
Burton.
You think it's Burton over Yusevich?
Yeah, it should be.
From a talent perspective, you're absolutely right.
Right.
I had 2 on like a film grade on Burton. He's a stud.
Right.
Okay. So we'll see and Cincinnati's another team that their ability to run the ball is not established. And I think the key to being very high ranking in this is either you have to have an elite offense or you have to have an inability to run the ball and be unbalanced. And I think Houston and Cincinnati are probably the 2 teams out of all the teams that we mentioned that I'll be like, yeah, I think my confidence level on how well you are consistently going to be able to run the ball this year is lowest with those teams. So it makes sense to have them in there.
Next one comes from Jared, and shout out to Jared getting a little gig here with Jaguars Wire. So he's coming in with a Jaguars take for us.
Okay.
He says the Jacksonville Jaguars defense will be a key reason why they are at least one of the 3 wild card teams in the AFC.
I can very easily see the pathway for Jacksonville being a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a lot of really intriguing pieces. I think you're certainly hoping with the contract extension for Trevor Lawrence, he takes another step and another leap. They overhauled his pass catchers this year in an effort to better complement where he wins and throws his best balls as a quarterback. Tank Bigsby in year 2, they're probably counting on to get some stuff going on the ground game, but the defensive side of the ball, they got a lot of prototypes, right? That's the whole thing with their roster construction and Trent Baalke, and they like prototypical builds. They got a lot of guys that you don't find growing on trees. And I think the scheme change will be exciting, and it's just a question of how that all gels for them.
Yeah, I really like Ryan Nielsen. I think that's on top of the talented players they have on defense. It's him coordinating the thing that I like the most. But I did do a playoff predictors last night, and I didn't have the Jaguars making the playoffs. So I think the Jaguars defense is going to be good. I don't know that their team's going to make the playoffs. So I'm like in on half this take.
But they were, correct me if I'm wrong, they were a game out.
Yeah, they were close. Yeah, they were. They were
like right on the door.
They excuse me. They lost on tiebreakers. Actually, is why they didn't make it. So yeah, they're right there. Ocean Jackson. This one's hot. He says Todd Bowles is the first coach fired in season, and Mike Evans does not reach 1,000 yards.
I'm not betting against Mike.
Oh no.
So I'm selling that just on principle.
I also don't think Todd Bowles is the first coach fired.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like he's got the hottest of seats, right? I mean, they won a playoff game last year. They won the division each of the 2 seasons. Now, they haven't been particularly good.
Right.
They've had their limitations as a team, but they're going through transition. I think Bowles will actually help mask some of the shortcomings on this year's roster for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, defense is the concern, right? He's going to be his metal will be tested.
They have on the edge and some
linebacker, corner. It's all concerning.
Right. A lot of pressure put on the Carlton Davis replacement.
Right.
I think Todd can help that be stable, and I think that works in his favor here, even if they struggle.
Well, and I think there's just other paths for being the first coach fired that I like better. Keeping it in the division with the Saints. You think Dayball couldn't get fired? That guy has no poise whatsoever. Like, things get off the rail this year late in the season. Come on, man. You can see them saying, get out of town. I think there's other coaches that have a much better case. So I'm out all the way on this take from Ocean Jackson. Sports Nut says Brian.
Is it the Sports Nut?
Yeah, the Sports Nut. So a lot of regulars here. Sam Teets, Jared, Sports Nut.
We saw Vontel.
We saw Vontel. I'm not sure if he's going to make it out of the show. Weekly Huddle's in here today. Joe at work had one that it's a good reminder. I need to go back and get that one. Sports Nut says Brian Thomas Jr. will have the bigger rookie season of the 2 LSU rookie wide receivers.
No.
Yeah, I'm all the way out on this.
This is as hot gets, and this is why we like takes on takes. But I'm smashing the pass button on this take. Nabers, they're going to run their offense through Malik Nabers, it feels like.
100, oh God, 1,000,000%, yeah. Where Brian Thomas, they're going to throw the ball to Kirk and Ingram. That's who they're going to throw the ball to, right? Like those are the 2 trusted guys that have been around.
And then ETN.
Right.
And Davis is going to get your selected shots down the field, which he should, because that's where he was really good at LSU. But I don't think he's going to be a volume player where you look at Nabers and the situation in New York and all of the buzz there. He feels like he's already going to be a volume player.
Right. Joe at work, his take, I want to sneak it in here, is the best time of day to work out is before 5 a.m. That's going to be different for different people.
Great. There are days which I agree with this. Then there's also days where I disagree with this.
I never agree with this. I wake up early, very early every single day so that I can get ahead of the day with my work. And I'm most sharp in the morning for my work. And if I get my work done, that frees up the rest of my day to do things like work out. I think the peak time to work out is 11:30 a.m. right in the middle.
Yeah. And for me to be firing on all cylinders at that point, when I work out, I want to feel good for the workout, right? I feel like if you're working out at 5 a.m., the reason you're working out early at 5 a.m. is to just get it over with, to then go about your day and feel energized going into your day. I feel like you feel better to start your day if you work out early and get it done, but I want to feel good for the workout too.
100%. And another big thing for me is being fueled for workouts, but also you could be incorrectly fueled. So like if you start working out like too late in the day, you've had to make a choice on lunch and dinner, and you could eat the wrong thing. It's going to not make you optimally perform. I want to get in there before lunch. That's my goal, but not first thing. I'm most sharp in the morning. I want the most important work thing that I have to do done first thing in the morning. Okay, we got a bunch more to get to, folks. Be sure to stick with us. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire. That'll get you matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon.
I would take.
Okay.
Demario Davis still having his pre-draft scouting report saved on his phone is one of the top 10 most outstanding developments of the preseason.
Love that. Yeah.
Did you see this? The Saints posted it yesterday around 4:00.
I didn't see this, but it sounds very cool.
Do you ever go back and look? The question was, do you ever go back and look at your pre-draft scouting report? Yes. How often do you do it? I have it saved on my phone. And then he pulled out his phone and he read it.
Hate to be the guy that wrote that one and was wrong about it, huh?
Right.
I wonder if any players have my reports just plastered on something.
I know some have not been happy with you after reading them.
Oh, you better believe it. Yeah, that's some very, very upset people. And you know what? All those upset people didn't really have the career they thought they were going to have. So they can let's revisit that. I'd be happy to. And there's more than a couple, right? Like it's a kind of a weird amount of these players. And you got some too. You have some too. I think do you have a current Buffalo Bill?
Do I?
We'll talk about that.
Hold on. I'm gonna go pull up the.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know I'm gonna have to check the roster and figure out who it is, but you go ahead.
Okay. All right. This one comes from Michael. Mike Vrabel will be the most sought after head coaching candidate this offseason from both college and NFL jobs, and will win a Super Bowl with that team. I don't know about this one. Mike Vrabel there wasn't like teams lining. There was a lot of vacancies last year for Mike, and Mike Vrabel didn't really.
Yep.
You know, I can, whatever, he wants to be selective, but I don't know. I think some people might look at Mike Vrabel as a guy that needs to modernize his approach a little bit. So I'm a little concerned.
I would agree. That was part of the concern with Tennessee, right? Was the collective vision and the flexibility for their football operations to be conducted the way that they wanted.
Patriots disciples. Wow. Never ends, does it?
Did you happen to hear the last 13 minutes of Wednesday's episode of Locked On Dolphins?
No, I didn't.
Put it on your list. The Wednesday episode this week. It was updates from Tampa Bay and blank. And or it was one final thought on the Flores and Tua saga, because Tua did the interview with Lebitard.
Yeah.
And everybody freaked out that Tua was asked a question and then answered it. They're like, well, it's 3 years ago. Just let it go. It's like, well, he's asked a question. So I get into there's some people on the Dolphins beat who said, you know, I like Mike McDaniel, but the Brian Flores method has more results in the NFL. So until McDaniel gets the wins, it's kind of hard to not look at the Patriot Way process. So we went on the Patriot Way for 10 minutes.
All right, I'll check it out. I put in the chat, by the way, the player I thought
it was. It's not the player. There's a player from that school.
That school. That's why I thought of that. Okay.
Yeah, it was a linebacker from that school.
There's a current Miami Dolphin that was satisfied with my report. And so was his family members.
That's right.
Congratulations to him. All right. Weekly Huddle comes in with the food take. All fast food burgers are marginally better or worse than the other one, and people being a diehard for one fast food place over another is based entirely on brand loyalty and nostalgia.
This is probably partially accurate. I don't know. There are different executions of burgers. Or like a Five Guys burger is not the same as a McDonald's burger.
Right.
So I guess fundamentally I would disagree with the take on places like Five Guys.
My take on this is I'm over fast food burgers. Like I have no desire to eat them. You feel gross afterwards. Like I just don't want it. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I want burgers. I just don't want the grease balls that they serve you from fast food places.
I'll do like chicken nuggies.
Sometimes. You've been eating a lot of
Arby's.
Arby's
is really, really controversial of me, but I like Arby's as a fast food option. But it's not burgers. I would never get a burger at Arby's.
Right. And that's like you go somewhere decent. And what are you going to order? A burger?
Right.
I don't know, man. I like to make burgers. That's what I like to do. If I'm going to eat a hamburger, I want to
Grill Master and Smoke Master Joe.
Yeah, I don't need to eat a fast food burger. And if I go somewhere nice, I'm not eating a burger. Finn Correct says Miami Dolphins will have 2 1,000-yard rushers and 2,000-yard receivers.
No, it's too much volume.
They get 3 of those things, right?
Probably. If everybody's healthy.
You can see the path here. Is the issue like maybe incorporating Jalen Wright as a third guy to spread that workload and Achane probably maybe being a little bit more involved in the receiving game?
I think they have a better chance at having 0 1,000-yard rushers than they do having 2 1,000-yard rushers.
But we do. I mean, Waddle and Hill are going to have 1,000 yards each, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. But you could tell me all 3 backs finish between 600 and 900 yards, and I believe you.
Right.
So I think that kind of works against the idea that you're going to have enough volume for 2 guys to go over 1,000 yards. And Devon Achane, respectfully, I can't imagine he's going to average 8 yards a carry again this year.
How many players? Oh, here's a better way. How many players from scrimmage have 1,000 yards for the Dolphins this year? 4
from scrimmage.
From scrimmage, yeah,
probably 4.
Yeah,
because Achane's going to get a ton of run in the passing game.
Achane, Mostert, Hill, and Waddle. I think they all do it. Yeah.
Yep, 1,000 yards from scrimmage, but not rushing, receiving, respectively.
Right. Kyle, not you, says Ray Davis will finish the season as the Bills' leading rusher as James Cook falls out of favor with Sean McDermott due to fumbles, drops, pass blocking, and or lack of aggressive inside running. He gets less than 50% of RB touches per game by week 12. Buddy, I can see it.
I was just getting ready to say I'm kind of ready to buy that. Because they invested a 4th-round pick in him. It's not like they got him for nothing.
Right.
It's a pretty high draft pick. Your Cook's going into year 3.
Year 3.
Kind of already want to start that transition because you're probably not going to franchise tag him. So next year is probably going to be his last year with the team because you're very adamant that that's kind of the school of thought here.
I hope so. I think Kyle's exactly right about James Cook. Like he's a slashing style of runner that was very productive last year that has upside in the passing game. But in the reality is he's a very incomplete player. He does fumble. He does drop the football. He does give you nothing in pass protection. And he's got twinkle toes a lot of times when he needs to just pound the rock, man. So I don't know, man. I think Kyle could be onto something here. And that might be a hot take because James had the season he did last year. But at a minimum, this is going to be much more of a split backfield.
We'll see which one of my hometown league mates listen to this show. I'm going to go out and draft Ray Davis tonight. Try and stop me.
Well, and I think the point being is don't put the big money up for James Cook.
Correct.
Josh has a 3-parter here for us, so let's work through this quickly.
It's a little greedy. Can we agree it's a little greedy to come in with a 3-parter take?
It is a greedy.
Better be good.
Yeah, it is, but he's also, I appreciate that he's got layers to it. He gives us one, spicier. So let's work through it quickly. Josh says, Josh Palmer finishes as wide receiver 1 of the Chargers this year and goes for over 1,000 yards and 6 scores.
Somebody has to, so probably.
Palmer has his fans. I know that you're not one of them, but he has his fans out there.
Yep.
Spicier. Tua leads the league in QBR passing rate, passing yards, and passing touchdowns.
Man.
I think QBR and passing yards totally possible. The passing touchdowns is where
he did that in each of the last 2 seasons, respectively.
Right.
But
But
it was QBR and then it was passing yards.
I think that they're going to run the ball more inside the red zone, and I think that's going to take away from some of his volume of passing touchdowns.
I think he's got a better chance to have more passing touchdowns and less yards this year. He had 29 passing touchdowns last year.
What do you need to lead the league? You got to push 40, right?
Right. If you told me he had 32, I wouldn't be surprised. So I think he could actually have more passing touchdowns this year than last year, but I think he has less yards, less than 46, 27 or whatever it was.
Spiciest, Ben Sinnott has 75 or more catches and is compared to Laporta this time next year.
I hope so. That'd be great for the brand. Are the Commanders going to trade for Ayuk now? Now that they traded Jahan Dotson?
Yeah, because
they have an extra 3rd-round pick now?
Buddy, I never even thought about that with the trade. Ayuk wants to go play with
Jaden. Is just days of our lives here with Ayuk in San Francisco. Still not done.
Let's sneak this one in here. Blue says Kyle saying Juan instead of one is far worse than Joe's pronunciation of chocolate. You do. You say Juan.
In what context?
You say the Dolphins won the game against the Steelers.
They did win the game.
No, you don't. You say Juan. You do. Juan. It's
one.
One.
No, if it was one, it would be spelled O-N-E. That's one.
What
one
are you
versus one?
In what planet is a pronunciation of O?
One. They won the game.
They won the game. You said that they won. You're
that's correct.
You pronounce it Juan, like the name Juan. That's what
I'm aware of how you're saying. I'm saying it because I'm saying it correctly.
No. You're doubling down. You think this is the right way to say it? You lost your mind.
Yes.
You lost your mind. Chocolate.
Yeah, but that's a good example of I guess each of us having our own regional twangs. Have you seen those? I think they're TikToks. They show all the, and I know we got to go to break. Different. They all show up on all the same social media. They just
just little videos. Got you.
It's like the English lesson where it's like he's teaching this guy English and he spells a word and he says, "This sounds like this."
I saw
and
that
then he
one.
changes a letter and he's like, "So what does this sound?" And the guy gets it right and then he changes another line. He's like, "All right, now what's this sound?" And he says it the same way. And he's like, "No, that's absolutely wrong. It's this." Like that.
Right. That's a good one.
I feel like we have that vibe going a little bit with each of our, I don't want to say accents, but our enunciations.
All right. We got more to get to. Stick with us. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
I don't have a take, but I have a question. It's a fun question. Who's the worst player that you think your team could claim in waivers that you would be upset about?
The worst player that they could claim that I'd be upset about?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going with this?
No, it's just I saw a headline from 23 minutes ago from Pro Football Talk with Andy Reid saying Kadarius Toney is in a battle to make the team. And I'm just thinking, like, how many fans of teams would be mad to find out that their team claimed Kadarius Toney if he didn't make the Chiefs?
Sign up. You want to sign up for the circus? Go ahead. Go right ahead.
So do you have any other names like that? That's like, man, I hope my team doesn't claim so-and-so if they get cut.
I think the Bills are going to claim some backup quarterback. So I'm curious to see who that would be, but I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a player that's not on the roster that's going to make the roster that's not a quarterback.
It's a shame Chase Claypool already got cut. Otherwise, that'd be my answer.
Well, listen, he's a free agent right now. Anybody can sign him.
He'll do great next year in Saskatchewan.
Well, maybe he'll come back to the Bills. He's got to wait out the settlement, so we'll see. Maybe teams are going to want to sign him. We'll see. Okay, let's get back to it. Casey says last season the AFC North became the first division in the Super Bowl era to have all 4 teams finish above 500. The take is this: the AFC North accomplishes that feat again in 2024. However, only 2 teams from the AFC North make the playoffs. He lists Baltimore and Cleveland.
I know you're passing on.
Well, yeah, you saw my playoff predictors last night, so
I did. So I know you're not in on those being the playoff teams.
I'm Baltimore. I am, Baltimore, not Cleveland.
I think all of those teams are good enough to win in the ballpark to potentially have it happen again. You worry about if a team like emerges again the way that Baltimore did. If they have somebody that gets really hot, do they beat up all the other teams, and then the parity of the rest of the division kind of waters it down, I guess is the concern.
I'm concerned about Pittsburgh and their offense, and I would have Cincinnati as a playoff team over Cleveland. So that's where I disagree with this take. False started says all 4 NFC West teams make the playoffs. That feels like a big no to me.
No.
This one from Josh.
The West?
West. Yeah. NFC West.
Man, I don't know. Like
Arizona, you think they're going to get there? I don't see that.
Right. And I think Seattle has a lot to put together.
Right. And I do like Seattle, but yes, there's too much new there for me too much new with a modest quarterback for me to get too excited about.
Dude, even the offensive line right now is
questions.
Laken Tomlinson, Connor Williams, Anthony Bradford, Abe Lucas. And there's some injury questions there with Abe Lucas on the PUP, Connor Williams coming off of a December ACL. What does he look like? New scheme that they're going to push the ball down the field, presumably.
Too much. Yeah. And a brand new offense coordinator has never been in the league. Right. So I like some things. I just don't know if it's a this year thing for them. This one I'm pretty passionate about. Josh says country music is in an awful place right now with pop artists becoming country. Thanks a lot, Dave Tepper. Fun fact about Joe Marino is outside of like my family and football, country music's probably my favorite thing. And so I know this is about Post Malone and the country album, and I'm here to tell you that album is exceptional, and it's truly country, and that's what I love about it. It's not overproduced. It's not pop country. It's truly a country album, and I think that the country music industry can learn a lot from a top 5 artist globally and Post Malone coming in and having the success that he did doing an actual country album. So wake up those of the country artists that are into pop country and click tracks. Get back to your roots, because I think this is a big wake-up call for the industry. The Weekly Huddle says, at the end of the season, there will be at least 8 teams looking to improve their quarterback situation. And he says, do the thing. We had a couple of do the things. I couldn't fit them all in here, but it's cool to see
I'm glad do the thing has become a thing.
At least there's at least 2 more. I couldn't fit them all in, but you want to lead us through the thing here?
All right, so we're looking for teams looking for new quarterbacks.
At the end of the season.
The magic number is 8.
Yeah, we got to get to 8.
All right. Bills, Jets, Patriots, Dolphins.
Jets, put them on the list.
Okay. Even if Aaron's good.
Well, yeah, he's going to be 41 years old.
I'm just confirming that even if Aaron's good, we're still going to put him on the list.
Yeah, you don't have to agree. Is it a maybe bucket?
Maybe.
Okay,
we'll decide at the end depending on if we get 8 somewhere else.
Okay.
Cleveland, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. I could see Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
And the firm or the maybes? Firm?
Like firm.
Yeah, I think 2. And those are 2 firms, 1 maybe.
And for any argument about Cleveland, I don't think it's a coincidence they didn't restructure anything with that contract and are carrying a $60 million cap hit for Watson, because you could do a post-June 1st and have at least something digestible and move on.
Right.
Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos. Raiders
firm, yes.
Yes.
3.
Titans, Jaguars, Texans, Colts.
I would say the Titans are at least a maybe.
They're a maybe.
So we have 2 maybes and 3 yeses out of the AFC.
Yep. Philadelphia, Washington, New York, Dallas, New York. Definite yes.
Yeah, definite yes, and a maybe for Dallas because they might have
to move on from Dallas.
So 4 and 3.
Yep. Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay, Minnesota.
None.
No. We have New Orleans, Atlanta, Tampa, and Carolina.
I think New Orleans is a firm yes, right?
New Orleans is a yes.
So that's 5.
Yep.
Probably nobody else, right?
Well, it depends. If Carolina's disastrous.
A fringe, maybe.
A fringe, maybe. They're the least likely because they have the
Right.
number 1 overall pick that they gave up the moon for. But
Right.
if he's as bad as he was last year, this year, I don't think he will be. But if he is,
right.
Yeah,
he can't play. Right. Yeah. If he replicates last year, he can't play. Gotcha.
San Francisco, Arizona, Seattle, and the Rams.
I think at best you have 1 maybe in that. At best.
And I don't feel any firm convictions about any of them.
Right. So we have 5 we think
Yes.
yeses, 3 we think maybes with a couple of fringes. So maybe 5 and 5. I don't think we get to 8. That was the take, that we would get to 8 teams. At least 8 teams.
I don't think we do either.
Too rich.
It happens when 6 teams draft first-round quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Could you count Atlanta?
Mm-mm.
Because Kirk's the starter?
No, because Penix is already there.
But if they voluntarily get rid of Kirk, that doesn't count?
No, I think it'd be Penix. Penix was a top 10 draft pick. He's got to have his moment.
He'll be the guy on the roster, but they'd still be changing their quarterback.
Right, but I don't count it because he's already looking to.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. Russell says Joe secretly likes it when the long guys come to his house while you guys are recording. There's no chance of me liking that, right?
No, because you get so awkward every time.
Right, because I get pissed about it. That's why.
You sit here and you kind of look out the corner of your eye out the window, and they're right there, and you hear just
Right. I don't like distractions like that. I'm trying to be dialed in here, and I'm sitting there wondering, are they going to be on because my office is right here against our front porch, and they're on there blowing it off. It's like I can't deal with this.
Oh, can I jump in with a take?
Yeah.
It's framed as a question from Steve Palazzolo, but it's fun to post as a statement. Because Mike Renner said Tyson Bagent was beating out Justin Fields if they never traded Fields.
Yes.
Steve said, would Bagent start for the Steelers?
Oh.
So turn that into
if they were being honest. No, if they were being honest, right, about a true competition, I think the answer to that is yes.
What would you trade for Tyson Bagent to be your backup quarterback?
A 5.
That's the number I had in my head too. And I don't know, if I'm Chicago, I'd think hard about it. You just took the number 1 overall pick at quarterback. You know what you're.
Brett Rippon's been good this preseason too.
Right.
The worst quarterback this preseason for the Bears is Caleb Williams.
You take your UDFA second-year player in Tyson Bagent, you could probably get a pretty nice pick, and that's an exponential ROI, return on investment there.
On a UDFA.
I would think about it.
All right, we got one last take to get us out of here. This is our closing take. So anything else you have?
Unless something pops up on the timeline between now and the end of this last bit. No.
Right. From Ray Aga, the Green Bay Packers will be the first team in NFL history to win the Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup, and the World Series all in the same season.
I'm glad you tucked this in at the end. Yes, of course.
Of course.
They don't call them Title Town for nothing, right?
I just don't know why the NBA Finals was omitted from this.
Yeah, would they taken the year off for basketball? Or
I mean, that's the only question I have about this.
Yeah, lock it in. Packers, Championship City this year. Congratulations to Green Bay, Wisconsin for winning every major sports championship. That's going to do it for us here on Locked On NFL Scouting. Takes on Takes. It's in the bag. We appreciate you guys for chiming in with all of your takes. You can find us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Make it a great rest of your day. We are out of here. Enjoy the preseason football that awaits you this weekend. I'll be back to talk to you all again on Monday.